Well, hello, beautiful people. Hello, hello, hello. Come on into the room. Come on in. I tried to do this live earlier and I found out later that someone messaged me saying there was no sound. So I said, let me take a break and then I'll come back and do it. So I took a break and I'm back. So yesterday I talked a bit about the importance of a little bit about being self-aware, a little bit about just as a leader, the things that are important. And so I kind of want to continue that a little bit, not the exact same thing, but just a little bit of kind of in the same line of what we talked about yesterday. So I'm trying to wait to see if a few people would jump on. If you're following me and you're out there, come on, join in. I'd love to have you in this conversation. I think that this conversation is one that needs to be had. And before we get started, I just kind of want to put a little plug in. Those of you who are business owners, make sure that if you are receiving mails or monies in the mail to your businesses, that you're checking to make sure that there are no scammers who are using your business name, creating the same business name in a different state, and basically changing your mailing address for your business to some other state, and basically taking any money that you receive by mail. So I just saw that on a live I was just on from a doctor, and I just wanted to pass that on. He said to pass the information on. So please pay close attention to that to make sure that no one is scamming you or frauding you, taking your monies that come by way of the mail system. Okay, so let's talk a bit. Let's talk a little bit. Day 3, I want to talk about. At first, I named it self-awareness, but I kind of want to change that a little bit to trust. Trust goes both ways. And I want to start this conversation with a quote from a book written by John Maxwell. It's called The Self-Aware Leader. And I just want to read this one sentence, this one statement he made. He said, leadership is a trust, not a right. Hey, Dr. T, good to have you on. Good to see you. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure. Noble strength. All right. So again, the quote from John Maxwell's book, The Self-Aware. Oh, hey, Donna. Good to see you on. The book is called The Self-Aware Leader, and he said this one thing: leadership is a trust, not a right. It's a trust, not a right. And, you know, when I think about that, it is so very true, because ultimately, as leaders, we influence. Leadership is influence, and we earn the trust of those we lead by serving them, by inspiring them, and by guiding them, and building that trust over time. And the thing about trust is it's not automatic. It's not automatically equal to, or is it the right of the leader to the trust of the people they lead. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not based on our title. And the amazing thing that I love about Leadership and trust is that when the leader earns the trust of those that they follow, the followers are also earning the trust of the leaders. It goes both ways. Now, I'm not taking away from the responsibility of the leader. So please don't hear what I'm not saying. I am saying that we build trust through our integrity, our consistency, and our competence as the leaders. But at the same time, the followers are gaining our trust as well. And so I want to share with you a story. I like to always give an example of something that happened in my own life with one of my subordinates. So at this particular time, I had a subordinate who worked, and when you're in the military, sometimes we take half the team, like on a deployment somewhere, and we may leave like a skeleton crew back to kind of handle day-to-day business. So I left behind one of my non-commissioned officers, left him behind to handle day-to-day business. And so long story short, while I was downrange, my battalion commander called me in and he said, well, Lita, this person wants to apply to go to the Warrant Officer Candidate School. And so I said to him, he said, what do you think about that? He was like, is this something that you encouraged him to do? Is this something that you think he should have? And based upon what I knew about this person, I was like, well, sir, my answer to that is going to have to be no, because this individual has a problem with leadership. And my battalion commander says back to me, he has a problem with followership. And so I didn't catch it at first. And he said it again, because I was like, yeah, he doesn't really like to, follow instructions. He's kind of like off doing what he wants to do instead of, basically what he should be doing. And he said, and again, he has a problem with followership. He said he doesn't have a problem with leadership because you're the leader. He's the follower. He has a problem following. And it was in that moment that my battalion commander began to speak to me and tell me that, sometimes people want to be the leader, but they can't be a good leader if they are not good followers. And so I said all that to say that as we are leading people, we're watching, we're observing, we are counseling them, we're giving them feedback. They're giving us, communicating back to us, even, some of the things that we need to know constructively. So when the followers have a problem following, then it's going to be an even bigger problem when they start leading. And so long story short, the individual was not recommended to go to the school. And I'm not sure what happened after that, but I do know this. I learned a lesson in that moment that just because people want it, just because people go hard in the paint for it, doesn't mean they're ready for it. And so I want to, on this live tonight, I want to ask you a couple of questions, 2 questions. Okay, so in that moment when that person was told that, we're not going to recommend you for that, we're not going to approve this packet. Of course, the person was disappointed, and I'm the type of leader where I'm not just going to tell you no. I want to give you an explanation. I want to give you course of action, and I want to give you corrective measures so that perhaps in the future you can. And so I did all of that. And what I want to say is, and the first brings me to the first question, is when you have a subordinate or subordinate leader who lacks integrity, who lacks consistency, who lacks competence, how do you deal with that particular situation? And so that's the first question. What would you do when one of your subordinates lacks these things? What would you do? And I have A through F as answers. I'm going to give you the answers in just a moment. The second question is, how do followers build trust with their leaders? And so just think about that for a moment. Think about that. How would you deal with a subordinate leader who lacks integrity, consistency, and competence? How would you deal with them? Answer number A, and if you're on live, just answer either. It's anywhere from A, B, C, D, E, or F. One answer only. Okay, so what would you do if your subordinate leader lacks integrity, consistency, and competence? A, take corrective action immediately to warn them of the consequences of their actions. B, take corrective action immediately to reassign them. C, take corrective action immediately to terminate his or her employment. D, offer development opportunities. E, communicate your concerns and explain how their actions affect the team, the organization, and overall trust. In addition, you would place them on probation before taking further corrective actions. And then F is none of the above. Again, for question 1, what would you do when one of the subordinate leaders lacks integrity, consistency, and competence? Would you A, take corrective action immediately to warn them of the consequences of their actions? Would you B, take corrective action immediately to reassign them? Would you C, take corrective action immediately to terminate his or her employment? Would you D, offer development opportunities? Would you E, communicate your concerns and explain how their actions affect the team, the organization, and overall trust? And in addition, you put them on probation before taking any further corrective actions. And then finally, F, none of the above. So, question number 2, how do followers build trust with their leaders? Would they A, exhibit integrity, B, communicate openly and respectfully, C, show commitment to the team, the business, the goals and objectives,